under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we'll move right into approval of minutes from the February 11th meeting first.
I would so move.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? No further discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Let's go to the February 24th work session.
Also move to approve the minutes.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? No further discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, I don't recognition of visitors. There's only, nobody's signed up to speak. Let's go to claims and submissions and late claims. We'll start with the high school.
I would so move for the high school claims.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion?
Let me see where I saw that at. Must be on the elementary.
If no further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Elementary.
I would so move.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Yeah, it must be the white BB bus, Bluebird. So that's just a simple fix. The heater, is that all it was? Did we get the other bus back from?
It's done. I just got the call today that it's done,
Done.
and John is going to get it tomorrow.
Oh, nice.
Parts shipping took longer to get the parts, and so it delayed it about a week. Because actually I called the day after our last board meeting and got the ball rolling. And so it should have been done last week, because he told me 30 days, but because of shipping delays, put it back.
What direction did we go?
We rebuilt it.
Rebuilt it.
Is the warranty gonna kick in?
No, the warranty's not. It was the O-ring.
So net out the doing.
So we're paying for it. He did say it came in under the estimate. I don't have, he said
Cool.
I'd have it in a few days, but it did not come in. All right, but it came in under it, so. His advice, do not install a rebuilt or a remanufactured engine. He said, a lot of times he has to, when he buys a remanufactured, drive it, and within a month, he's rebuilding it. So his advice was absolutely not to do that. To let him rebuild it, then it's covered, it's good, it's got warranty, so.
Okay, were you good on that, Mark?
Yes, I'm sorry, I kind of
That's okay.
trailed off there, I apologize. So,
All right, no further discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, correspondence. Wendi, Chuck,
Not that I can think of.
Patty?
I just have one. You guys, you have a letter in front of you from the Montana Board of Investments. And it's just a letter amidst all the COVID-19. They're just giving us some insight as to what they're doing moving forward from this time. There's the suspension of short-term investment pool reserve deposits. The STIP reserve was established following the Great Depression to help ensure stability within STIP participants' portfolio. The reserve is above policy minimums at present, and therefore the Board of Investments will suspend further deposits into the accounts in order to increase returns earned by participants. This will continue until situational changes demand policy response. So that, to me, that just tells me they're not taking any more investments at this time. And there's a decrease in the intercap interest rates, and they're going from 2.5% to 1% until August 15th in order to ensure access to capital for eligible local governments. The rate will be reviewed as July 1 and just the continuation of services. So this is, we have, I think, a $4,800 CD with them. And then this is just telling us what they're doing going forward. Our interest on that isn't going to be, it isn't much right now, but it's going to be a little bit less in the upcoming months, so everybody gets a piece of it.
Any questions for Patty on that? Okay. Unfortunately, I have something. I received a phone call from a couple from Cut Bank who were treated pretty poorly from an individual from Choteau during the game. And they felt compelled enough to call me and, Mark Salmon first and then me. And so I was pretty appalled to have to take a phone call from a parent of a Choteau spectator. These people came to the game to support Choteau. They are from Cut Bank, and they have some family and friends from all over down here. So they were pretty hurt and confused why they were treated that way. I don't have a good answer for them other than somebody was just being poorly, just being a poor citizen, which is not who we are at Choteau, and I'm appalled to have to do that. So I've already talked to Wendi and her, and I will send them a letter apologizing to them on behalf of the Choteau schools. Anyway, I just want to remind everybody, particularly the newspaper, that there are big venues who won't allow schools to come because they won't put on big tournaments in big towns because some of the people are poorly. They're poor spectators. And we're not that way. We'll probably never get there, but that is possible. You might not be invited to something. This one time I know, but it's not who we are. So I apologize to them. That's all. All right. Administration reports. Wendi,
Okay,
please.
Good evening. There's been a lot of calendar changes, in the last week, and so I'm going to focus on those kinds of things. Spring sports, you may have seen some of the news that MHSA has ruled that we will suspend all practices and any meets or competitions until April 13th, when it will be revisited based on new information. And at that time, MHSA then will update all the ADs on what is happening with resuming activities and what that schedule would look like and how many practices kids would be required to have before we would begin a competition. Our prom has been postponed. We will not have it on April 4th. We'd like to reschedule, but we're not sure when we could do that. We'll wait and kind of see what happens with the being out 2 weeks and then, what the guidance is from the state on kids coming back to school. We met with other principals in the area, and I've been on the phone with them, and we agreed that we would, since our proms are all within a few weeks of each other, I think this weekend was going to be Fort Benton, and I don't remember which other, but who was it?
Fairfield.
It was Fairfield's. Yeah, Fairfield got notice that they couldn't have it at the airport and we're going to have to reschedule. So we just agreed that we would all postpone our proms until we got more information about what would be allowable. So we would like to use the word postpone and not cancel for that because it's so important to kids. Principal's Cup, which is an annual academic event that we do with other schools in the area, that was going to be this Friday on the 20th in Sims. That has been canceled and will not likely be rescheduled because it's too difficult to try to cram too many things in when we are allowed back. You probably heard also that state FFA and state FCCLA, which are huge events, thousands of people down in Bozeman, both have been canceled. One was going to be this weekend, the other was to be next week. And organizations are keeping in touch with the advisors on whether those events will be rescheduled. Milford, did you hear anything different or anything about that?
Not yet.
Okay. I'm hopeful that some of those can be rescheduled, especially since we have kids who are in state office in both organizations. Close Up, which is a travel experience that we do with Cody being the advisor for that. They have a rummage sale that was scheduled for this Saturday as a fundraiser. We're going to postpone that until we know more. So I'm sorry, you're gonna have to sit on all the things that you have in boxes.
That's okay.
It's time to reschedule. So we'll have more information later. Music program, Loren has kept me updated what's going on with that. It's the time of year where our kids would be traveling to a music festival. District Music Festival is scheduled for April 1st and 2nd. That has been postponed until April 15th. That gives a safe window of when, if kids are allowed back, that last week in March, then at least we would have time to have them prepare. So we'll have more information on that later. And then the musical, Cody and I visited. We suspended rehearsals because there was not a way to do that in a way that honored the safety precautions that we've been advised. We're going to use even though it's not overseen by MHSA, we treat it like it is MHSA, where you have to be eligible to participate and all of that. So on April 13th, when we see what MHSA guidance is on spring sports, we'll use that same measuring stick to decide how to handle the musical. So Cody will stay in contact with us. Any questions or comments about that sad news? I apologize. Thank you. Shortest report ever.
Yeah, good job. Thank you, Wendi. Chuck?
I'm gonna make up for,
Yeah, I'm afraid of that.
okay. Before I even start, I'm sure we could have a conversation about our beliefs on what is happening. Because we all have our own unique and different viewpoints on what's going on for us in Choteau, in the state of Montana, in our country, in our world. The fact remains, the governor has closed down schools for 2 weeks, and we need to deal with it and start moving forward from this point. So I don't want to focus on that. I want to focus on what we're doing to move ahead and what we know at this point in time and so on. So here's where we're at. And this is our first initial complication because of the governor's 2-week closure of schools. The first thing is Gary's here for a reason, because we have a contract with Gary Passmore for busing students. And Gary and I talked about this today, and it's really twofold. Is one, he, like a lot of employers, he's going to pay his employees to keep them, because it's so hard to find good employees, reliable employees. And so you can imagine the financial burden that comes from that without income from the school district. Now, looking at, Gary and I talked and looked over the contract today, and we found, obviously the contract isn't written in the event of a school closure for an unforeseen emergency, blah, 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 blah. It doesn't say that. But what we did find is a statement in paragraph 4 of the, and I'll actually, here it is. In paragraph 4, and I'll just read paragraph 4 to you. And this is starting with that the carrier for and in consideration of the payments hereafter to be made to him by the district as hereinafter set forth, specified and provided, does hereby promise and agree to and with the district as follows. So it starts with that, and then we get to section 4. That such bus shall be so operated and driven over the route or routes hereinbefore specified on each day when school is held, according to a schedule prepared under the direction of the Board of Trustees and Superintendent of Schools of said district. We're holding school today. We held school yesterday.
Yeah.
We're holding school for 2 weeks, for sure, without transporting students. So here's where we're at. At a state level, other superintendents like myself are in dialogue with Lance Melton, has been a primary contact through all of this at MTSBA. He's very good on the legal side of things. And so not just myself, but there's lots of other superintendents asking the same question. What is OPI going to do? Because if we're a district and we had our own buses, would we not pay our drivers to stay employed with us over this time period? I'm assuming we would as a district. So they're asking the question, is OPI going to reimburse us for these days? What are we going to do? Don't have an answer yet, but there's enough superintendents in the same place we're in Lance is going to pursue that and let us know. Another avenue to potentially go at this is we're feeding kids every day, and the potential is there to try to deliver meals, especially to out-of-town families who may not have, especially with the snow. We have a board member who couldn't get here because of the snow. They might be able to walk out, and if we deliver with buses, to be able to provide a funding stream in some way, shape, or form if the state's willing to do that. Again, a question for Lance Melton. Still no answer for sure at this point in time. So it's kind of, here's where we're at, and here's how I feel about it. And actually, I've submitted the contract. First, I started with just that blip about each school day, and then I actually submitted the entire contract to MTSBA for their counsel on that. But I'll tell you my opinion on how I feel about this, that we're in a contract. That's my understanding of the contract. We have an obligation to uphold our end of the contract in this unforeseen emergency. It's not about fault. It's here's where we are. What are we going to do? So I had a discussion with Gary because his expenses are, there's paying for drivers, there's bus maintenance, there's fuel, there's insurance, there's blah, blah, there's different categories. And so I asked, well, what if we were to try to work it out so that we were paying for your expenses, but not diesel and the stuff that you're not going to spend? Because the contract is written on a per mile basis. So anyway, this again is the first item to try to work out because of what's happened. To give you approximate idea, I'm actually asked Gary an approximate idea of, we know what it costs every day in terms of based on mileage that we pay for that, but we don't know what that is on a different level. I'm assuming it's probably 60-70% of that total. Gary, I need you to help me
It
out.
wouldn't be that much. Obviously, as probably with the school, the biggest expense that I have is labor. Insurance comes a close second to that. And fuel is probably in that 15% range. Because the other, so you got bus pay, the big ones are the labor and the insurance, and then the bus payments. Are you gonna replace the old bus then, with the new one? So they got to have payments to make, and then, our business plan or whatever, but the fuel is probably around that 15%-ish range. Because it, like just recently now, fuel has dropped considerable. It's down to whatever, I don't know what it is now. But it's came down from the $3 level to the $2 level. Well, that makes a big difference on the bill at the end of the month. So.
Are the payments monthly, Gary?
Yes.
Okay. So just a quick question also with that is then the bus drivers, if you were to do something with the lunch program, helping out there somehow, is that middle of the day going to be an issue for some of your employees? I mean, is that thought of yet?
I think most of my bus drivers are probably pretty flexible.
Okay.
I mean, I can't speak for them tonight, but I mean, if it's an avenue that they can maintain their income, I would think that they would be somewhat open to that idea.
So we got to know something before the end of the month. Is that what we're saying?
Well, I'd like
Yes.
to know now.
Yeah, I get
What
that, but I
the
mean,
intent, again, I think that my interpretation, I'm not an attorney. My interpretation of we're in a legal contract, that statement in there, we're holding school.
So just a question for Gary, so you're saying the fixed costs are about 85% of the.
Just generally speaking, yeah. I don't know if I could come up with that exact number, but it'd be somewhere in that, yeah, but it's ballpark-ish.
Thank you.
Does anybody else have anything?
Yeah, just so I know there's like 3 bazillion emails from interested parties on that distribution, the email distribution, but it appears that there is some ambiguity about payments, funding.
Yes.
And so it looks, so that I understand Lance is trying to get that resolved
Yes.
as quickly as possible. But the current working theory that everyone is working under right now is that the 2 weeks, we are going to get the funding for those 2 weeks.
We are, but here's the deal. What they're talking about is schools who have shut down for 2 weeks and aren't educating kids for 2 weeks. We aren't doing that.
Right.
There's more for me to talk about in terms of that.
So just, that was what I was trying to clarify. So
Yes.
that particular
We-
argument is not necessarily applicable to
To
us
us.
right now. Okay, so we are good on funding whatever.
Yes.
So I guess at this point, Gary, you're, as Joe had asked, 85%. You would be happy if we could work something like that out, kind of a win-win for everybody type thing? Is that what you're thinking? What are you, I mean, so that's what I'm hearing. So I just want to communicate. Is that what you're saying?
I'm pretty much open to anything because right now we're dealing with 2 weeks.
But we don't know
Exactly. So
This
what if
could-
it goes for 2 months?
till August. Or longer.
I guess the fuel deal would be, I'd be okay with that, we can come up with a number. I could look back in I got a pretty good idea what it cost me per month,
Mhm.
you know.
So I guess, and what I'm trying to determine from hearing you two guys, we'd like to do something. So Gary, can you get us a number? Because we can't act on it today.
Well, it's not an action item.
Right, so we can't act on
I
it. but-
just am looking for direction. I've given you my interpretation of this in the direction I would like to proceed, but I wanted to obviously discuss this.
Well,
So that's what I'm saying, is if Gary can get us a number, we can come back and say yes, because it's gotta be a win-win. We're a small community, it's all gotta be a win-win. We wanna help Gary, but we're also asking Gary to kind of help us too. But you gotta take care of your business. We don't want you to go away. So, it's gonna be a win-win, and I say we proceed to make it a win-win, and that everybody's happy.
So you're okay if Gary and I work that out?
That's what I'm gonna say is yes, I think that would be a fair, equitable,
you guys good with that?
I'm
I
100%.
think I would figure out his percentage and just go percentage of the per mile cost.
Yeah, I don't
If
know.
that
But
works. But yes, I would agree that you work it out with him.
Okay.
Go ahead with that. One quick thing, I don't trust the government getting the money in time for the monthly payment for Gary. My only concern.
And this might be, I have to say, this might be a moot point because OPI might kick it in. We just don't know.
I don't trust.
There's so many unknowns, and
But-
I just don't know yet.
But in the time being, we're being proactive, we're working towards a solution.
Right.
And that's what, so let's
If
go
we
forward,
need to, we have a solution.
we have a solution.
Thanks,
Yes.
Gary.
Okay. That was A.
Good.
Let's go through the rest of the
A to Z.
alphabet, shall we? Monday morning, we met starting at 8:00 in the auditorium with all staff. It was a fairly brief meeting, a few points, and I want to credit Mrs. Hammond to this, but my message, I said a lot, some factual things and dealing with facts and things like that, and my perception of the direction, and my perception of the direction we need to go in as a district is about educating our kids. I'm not willing to take a 2-week vacation. We needed to get going. And so that was kind of the thrust of it, and also focus on what we can do and what we can't do. There's a lot of things, like I said, that are beyond our control. What can we control? What can we do to move forward? I have to tell you that the staff has stepped up tremendously. Both Mrs. Hammond and I have been just blown away by their willingness to get going and doing things for kids. And even over the weekend, preparing and organizing and so on. And as soon as we're done at the meeting Monday morning, they're in their rooms working and gathering, communicating, creating. We had teachers create whole websites just for the delivery of instruction that's going to happen in this 2-week time frame. So we've been blown away, and it's just amazing what our staff has been able to do in this short amount of time. I've been on 2 conference calls with the state, one last Friday, which was really the trigger to, something's gonna happen. And so met with staff Friday after school, the elementary staff Friday after school, giving them the heads up, hey, you might wanna start thinking about this. The email string grew and exploded, and so Saturday was pretty active for me, and Sunday, Mrs. Hammond and I drove to Fairfield and sat down with Les Meyer, Dustin Gordon, Courtney Bake, and Paul Wilson from Greenfield. We had Lauren Dunk on the phone and Dave Marsoff from Sun River Valley talking about, okay, here's where we're at. Let's try to work some things through together. We actually, a checklist resource that Lance Melton sent out. We started working through that and talking about things. What are you going to do? We get home, I drop Wendi off at her place, get home, I open up my iPad, I'm working on an email, boom, we're closed for 2 weeks. Hey, let's get together. Let's talk about this again. So anyway, I had the first phone conference on Friday, another phone conference today. Not a lot of answers still. Here's what came out from today's phone conference. OPI is trying to streamline. If you've been looking at MTSBAs, and that's just one professional organization. There's lots of professional organizations that are saying, here's resources, here's resources, here's resources. The OPI is trying to funnel things. School administrators in Montana through Montana PEC, the Public Education Coalition, is trying to funnel things to narrow it down. I've had, just keeping up with email since Thursday, Friday has been a big job, and trying to monitor where we're at, where we're going, what resources do I need, and so on. This is my folder that I put together, just started about 5 days ago, and you can see how it's grown. So sorting through things, but anyway, OPI's website, they're trying to funnel things, focus, so you can go to OPI's website and see the coronavirus information there. Requirements from the federal government, there's been waivers and extensions for requirements from the federal government. Special education needs to continue, and regular education continues. That's been clear, and so Mrs. Gibson, Ms. Pieper have both worked to establish what they need to establish with families and with students to provide specialized service for students who need that support. Just a little caveat there, we may need to consider compensatory services for students who can't, if they come back and they've regressed to a point, we probably need to focus on summer school, or they call it in special education extended school year, services to help get them back up to a level comparable to their peers. There's smarter balanced assessment, there's extending deadlines, and then we've even received the waiver already, the state has, that if our testing window is affected, the testing window is open right now. If that's affected by the COVID-19, that there's waivers in place, but they just announced today that they're extending deadlines for that. The ACT test was scheduled for the 24th. It's now rescheduled in April. So all the materials that we received for that are to be thrown away. No, sorry, not thrown away, sent back to ACT.
Because they are secure
And
testing.
they'll get new testing materials. So those were some updates today. We didn't get some answers, but we did get a few. So technology. Mr. Worley has been working with Three Rivers. I've asked Rob to take care of that and being the point of contact for them, because Three Rivers has generously offered to provide internet service for families, households that do not have it currently. And so all we have to do is send them a list of names and addresses, and Three Rivers will take care of that for us. So
We
Mr.
sent them the
Worley's,
first list of about 7 families today.
and that will continue as we're working really hard to establish communication and find out where families are at. He's also in charge of device doling out. and making sure that students have technology in their hands, devices in their hands, to be able to take advantage of what teachers are putting out there for them through the internet. Thursday is our day for families, parents to come to school, not into the school, but come to school. We will have things outside for them to pick up, much like we've done with lunch, curbside service. And so Thursday is our day. If you've been to school lately, you'll notice that the front doors are locked. Every door is locked. It's just our protocol and procedures that we have in place. I worked on this report up until about 4 today. Typically, I have it done a day or two in advance just because this situation is so fluid. And that's what you have to understand. It's changing minute by minute, day by day, and we don't know. That's the big thing. So I'm constantly in contact with fellow superintendents, with MTSBA, with OPI, with Melissa Moyer, Teton County Health. It's a constant communication system. And through this, we've developed some good communication with our Teton County School District. I'll set a phone conference today with Teton County SUPS and health nurse. And it was a brief, about a half an hour, but good conversation about things in Teton County. We're working to sanitize this building daily, twice a day, actually, for the employees who are still working here. It's still including information to kids. We had time to do some hand washings, posters and things like that, so review hand washing. I did a few blips in the bulletin, sanitizing and so on. So we're actually taking materials that we're receiving and put it in lunch bags and put it in the students' materials to take home, just to try to get more accurate information out there. Where we're at, I think we're in a good place. And actually, I think, not a good place, we're in a great place. 1, we took action. 2, we took action right away. And 3, I think we're going to have a quality program. It's going to continue to evolve as we grow and learn, and as the students get more comfortable in this situation and setting. We get more comfortable with using technology, but I have to tell you, I'm shocked how good people have taken to the use of technology. It's amazing. I'll give you one example. Melody was nice enough to offer her son Madison to teach the elementary teachers how to do their own YouTube channel. So we'll have elementary teachers having their own YouTube channel, recording themselves, delivering instruction to kids, and inviting those students and their families to be part of that channel so they can receive daily instruction. My point to the teachers is, it's all well and good to send them a packet of review materials, but let's start thinking, how am I going to provide new instruction to kids? This was the easiest vehicle for most classroom teachers. When we talk about special education teachers, we're talking about a mixture of recordings, phone, and not face-to-face, but video chatting to be able to support their learning. Their needs are such, they need a little more support than a regular education student who can look, watch, listen, and, get. So it's been nice. I've also had offers. I'll give you another example. Ryan Talmadge, if you remember Hog Heaven, Charles and Paula Ballard had Hog Heaven. Well, I ran into Ryan today, and he said, "Do you need anything at school?" I said, actually, he said, "Do you need anything at school? Do you need anything to serve lunch? Those styrofoam things or something?" And I said, "Yeah, we do." I said, you know what? Everyone's in the same boat we are. Restaurants are moving from dine-in to take-out. We're trying to order them. We're trying to get them at Sam's. We're low on those take-out, styrofoam containers. He says, "Okay, we got a bunch." And so he shows up back at the school. Half an hour later, the backseat of his truck is full of plastic forks, spoons, to-go soup containers, and plastic styrofoam things to give us to use for the lunch program. So we've got a lot of people who are willing to help and do whatever they can for the situation that we're in. That has been wonderful. Just overall where we're at with staff. As the week has gone on, there's been less staff in the school working. Everyone was here Monday. By the end of the day, Monday, there was less people here. There was less people here today. There's going to be less tomorrow. The goal is for the teachers to get what they need to work off-site. This is on advice of our county health nurse on protocols to do in this instance. And so that's what we've done, and when we're working with our teachers, if you need to come in and grab some, come in and grab it, but we really want you working, interacting with kids online on your devices whenever it works into your schedule and so on. We're saying 8 to 4, sure, 9 to 5, sure, 10 to 6, sure, whatever works. But the goal of it is to provide the instruction, to interact with students, to grade papers. Although we're not grading papers, we don't want any papers back. The work is going to be done online and with Google Classroom and the structure that the junior high school has in place, it's just perfect. So there's interaction, but it's do it off campus. If you need something, come and get it, but do it off campus. And again, the advice of the county health nurse. Really, the students not coming into school, advice of the county health nurse. Not having the students come in and get their things, advice of the county health nurse. So there's a rationale for this. I'm trusting the expertise of a medical person. I feel I'm kind of an expert in education. I have a lot to learn still, but I know education. I don't know healthcare. And I don't know dealing with pandemics. I'm seeking advice of professionals who know a lot more than I do. This even stretches to our non-certified staff. We have instructional aides, and guess what they're going to be doing? They're going to be doing instruction. They're going to be one-on-one intervention support, one-on-one meeting with students to provide IEP services for those kids. So our instructional staff is truly going to be, I mean, they are already, but they're truly going to be instructing in the situation.
Can I give an example?
Yes.
Title I, we have Mrs. Major works with junior high, and then Mrs. Peoples and Ms. Sarugi that work with our high school kids. Today, Becca Sarugi used Zoom, which Zoom has given educators across the nation free access for video conferencing with kids. She had a video conference. Kid has her laptop set up at home, and she's doing video conferencing with her little whiteboard and instructing mathematics today to support her in the same way as if the child were sitting in the Title I room. So it's really exciting, the creativity. By telling people, we didn't tell them exactly what we wanted, we just shared a vision with them, and they have ran with it. Mrs. Funk was even videotaping herself using an iPad and a swivel device, videoing herself, teaching like she would in her classroom, and even looking at the camera and looking at the thing, and showed me how it worked.